Welcome to this thing called life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of this podcast called This Thing Called Life. I am joined here, first off, I am Dave. I am joined here with my co-host, my host, my other person right next to me in another state, Michael Kelly. Mike, say hello.
What is up? Episode 1. This is Michael Kelly. I'm so excited for this podcast about life.
So excited. And sorry. So, how's it going, buddy?
It's good, man. Having a beer.
Yeah, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Miller Lite right now. Shout out to Miller Lite.
Shout out to you.
Refreshing light beer.
I'm drinking a Founders. Started to be a snub. Or
Beer
snob.
snub.
Or snob. I don't know, something like that. It's a breakfast stout, though. It's pretty delicious. Even though it's
pretty late for breakfast, but it's never a
even though
bad
it's at
time for breakfast.
9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right now when we're recording this one. So, but hey, this is a good way to start the podcast. Cheers, buddy. So,
Cheers, bro. Ham.
So let's get into this. The introduction episode here for our listeners to find out a little bit about us. You want to go first, or you want me to take the stage?
Take it, bro.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said before, my name's Dave. I'm 31 years old. I'm married, have a 4-month-old, almost 4-month-old. That's right, new dad over here. What's up? I joined the dad club. But I've always had a dad bod. You know?
Not true.
And yeah. So it's good. Did I say I was married? I think I did. Yeah, married. And there's actually an interesting story to that about how I met my wife. I'll try not to make it too long. I'll try to keep it
Hold
pretty.
on. Let's hold that. Let me do my intro, then we'll go back to that because that's going to include both of us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's go back to that. Let me intro. Okay, so what do you do for a living, Dave?
Oh, I pick things up and put them down. That means I deliver packages all day by a company who wears brown.
That's got to be UPS.
Maybe.
I see you guys almost every day.
But not me though. I'm too far away.
Not you specifically, but
Damn. You tell you what, you'd love my short shorts if I was there.
I probably would. Probably would order packages more often, if you know what I mean by packages.
Hey. Shing.
This podcast is going to be perverted and vulgar. I can see it already.
Yeah, there will be language. Also, warning, explicit language. But you know,
this is not for children.
Yeah, if you're offended, sorry.
Sorry, don't you? That
Yeah.
people are sensitive today. It's a part of it.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, sensitive people. Don't even get me started on that. We'll save that for episode 2.
For episode 2.
Yes. But yeah, no.
All right, so
yeah, I pick things up and put them down for a living. That's what I like to tell people. But you know, obviously my job is crazy, and thank God the holidays are over. And I was looking forward to starting this with you, man. So you know, I'm excited.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, I've known Dave for a long time. We decided to do this podcast. I used to live in New York. I'm from New York. We lived in the same town for a while. And here I am in El Paso, Texas. I am a professional barber. I travel, I teach, I educate, all the social media shenanigans, mostly Instagram. And that's what I do. I love it. I also have 2 kids, a beautiful wife, been married 11 years.
Ooh.
And we just figured, let's make a podcast about regular dudes that have unique perspectives on life. And let's cut the bullshit and the hoopla that everyone else is talking about right now. And let's just be real. Let's be real and authentic. And let's create a podcast that talks about anything and everything under the sun.
That's right. So let me ask you real quick. So you're a barber. So do you own your own barbershop?
I'm actually creating my own barbershop. It should be up in about a month or 2 now. And that should, that's going to happen. That will happen. We are in the process of that right now.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you, sir.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Cool, man. That's sweet, dude. I didn't know that. I just randomly asked that, and look what happened. See that? I
Yeah,
just
man.
learned. I
It
just learned
was
something new
time. I
about
never
you.
wanted to do it, but I'm sure we'll get to business and career stuff later on in our podcast as we go episode to episode. But it's definitely something that I can talk all day on. Being just a barber is not the same as it used to be anymore. Now you have to be a photographer, and you got to be an entrepreneur, and you got to create your own brand, and you've got to, manage people, manage barbers,
Mhm.
manage clients. It's just a web of connection now. So that's something unique we can talk about later. I guess
That's awesome.
down the road we can have some guests. We're gonna have some special guests,
Totally.
and it'll
Sounds
be
good,
fun.
man. Yeah, absolutely. So I hope everybody sticks around. Totally. Just everyone, just stick around. Subscribe to us on all your uh, podcast apps, whatever you're listening on iHeartRadio. We're gonna be on iHeartRadio eventually. May not be right away. I think it takes like 2 months, but
It will happen.
yeah, they're pretty strict on that stuff. But Spotify, all that stuff, we're gonna be up wherever you can get your podcast. We're gonna try to make it there. So, anyways, thank you guys again for listening and tuning in. Hopefully, you guys continue to listen to us and you find us interesting. But anyways, so Mike mentioned we've been friends for a while, and I'm gonna get back to my story now, if that's okay. Is that good?
Go for it.
Okay. So it's so funny the way we met, the way Mike and I met, and the way me and my wife also met is kind of relates back to Mike in a way. So many years ago, like back when I was in 7th grade, and I was a young boy. Uh, so what ended up happening was I was friends with his sister, and I was friends with Mike's sister Jen. I'm sorry, I don't know if we should be dropping names, but I was friends with Mike's sister Jen.
She's nice. Jen's cool.
Okay. Last time I saw her, she was. I don't know.
Yeah, she's cool. She got her own life going on.
Oh,
It's
good.
awesome.
Good. Good to hear. And it was like some school thing happening at their house because we all went to the same school, and we were there, and then Mike was the older one. He's like 3 years older than me, I think, 2 maybe, something like that. How are we? 33, 34?
Yeah, I'm 33.
Yeah, 2 years older than me. So, he wasn't in the same grade as us. So when I went over to their house, like Mike was outside skateboarding or something like that, and I was into that. I always skated with my friends. I didn't even know she had an older brother, and then people were doing something inside. It must have been lame because I kind of walked out of the house and went and hung out with Mike. Started skating outside. Sorry, I just like did the dip on your sister, and that was it. But
You've always been a real one, bro. You're like, you know what? I'm not feeling this atmosphere right now. I need to go outside and see what this dude is doing.
yeah, it was something. So
Is he landing kickflips? What is he doing out
yeah,
there?
what's going on? Is that a 360 flip? What?
What?
What? I don't know. I couldn't do 360 flips, but anyways, so that's kind of how Mike and I met, and now I'm gonna segue into how I met my wife, which is kind of related back to that. So when Mike and I became friends after that, we started hanging out, skating a lot more with each other and whatnot. And Mike was like, "I want to introduce you to my friend Matt." And I said, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, Matt's a singer because Mike's a musician. I'm a musician. Matt is also a musician." So he's like, "Yeah, I want to introduce you to my friend Matt. He sings. He's got a great voice. He plays drums. Awesome drummer." Okay, cool. So I ended up meeting Matt, and I'm gonna fast forward many years now. So after me and Mike and Matt all hung out and whatnot, we all became friends. When Mike moved to Texas, Matt went with him. I had my own girlfriend at the time, not my wife currently, a different woman who I obviously am no longer with because I'm married. And what ended up happening was I took my girlfriend to get her nails done or tanning or something. It was something along those lines, something like that. And Matt was back in town. Matt moved back to New York. And I was like, "Oh, how long are you going to be doing your tanning thing?" She was like, 20 minutes. I said, "Okay." I called up Matt and I was like, "Hey, man, are you around?" And this place was like right down the road from where Matt lives. And he was like, "Oh, yeah. Okay, why don't you come on down?" I said, "Cool." Went down there. Downstairs in Matt's basement now, there's no cell service. And so Matt and I started talking. We started catching up on all this stuff. An hour went by. no cell service. So my girlfriend at the time couldn't get a hold of me. She couldn't call me, nothing. And it was a real blessing in disguise, is a good way to put it. Because me and Matt decided, let's do music together. Let's form a band. Because Matt wanted to play music again now that he's back up here in New York. He wanted to play music and whatnot. I was like, yes, let's do a band. And the girlfriend at the time wasn't a fan of it. She, wanted all the attention on her. She didn't like that I was doing, dividing my or dividing what? It's like
Yeah, dividing,
yeah,
multiplying,
yeah, adding, but she
subtracting your time.
yeah, exactly. She wasn't happy that I was subtracting my time from her to go be with the band and all that. So we ended up breaking up because of that. And that was the blessing in disguise because I met Danielle at the first show my band played. And it was just awesome because, if it wasn't for me meeting Mike, that's a tongue twister. If it wasn't for me meeting Mike, I would have
You've
never
never
met
met
Matt.
Matt.
I would have never met my girlfriend because I would have never been in the band with Matt, or excuse me, my wife. I would have never met my wife if it wasn't for Matt and Mike. And so that's a pretty cool story. I thought, that
In
stuff
some ways, I'm
always,
responsible for you breaking up with your girlfriend.
yeah, at the same time, right? Like
In a way.
in a way, totally, which is awesome. Thank you. And no, but it's that stuff that it's that stuff that I find really interesting and really interesting is the roads that your life takes you down that leads you to something that at the time was obviously like disheartening because here you are leaving your girlfriend of 2 years, but you know, you it ends up being blossoming into something beautiful. And I ended up meeting my wife 11 years ago. So, dude, it's awesome. Sorry,
Absolutely.
sorry to go out
Isn't
on
it,
that one.
yeah, isn't it crazy how when you're going through certain things that are tough, maybe the breakup or confusing times, you're trying to find your own way, find your own path. And at the time it's so painful, but then you look back and you think, man, I'm glad all that happened because here I am,
Right.
happily married with a kid
Mm-hmm.
and doing what I love,
Mm-hmm.
podcasting and picking up shit and putting it down,
Yeah, and
just being a boss.
providing for the family and have our first house currently that we just bought earlier back last year. I was going to say this year, but it's 2019 now, so that was 2018 last summer. And it's pretty awesome, dude. Pretty
Bro,
awesome.
talk about let me ask you, because we have a lot of young guys who are probably going to listen to this because a lot of young barbers follow me on Instagram and stuff, and I'm going to share this. So what can you tell a young guy who doesn't have his first home yet? How imperative and what kind of blessing can you explain to them? Because I remember when I got my first house, it felt incredible to get out of
Dude,
paying
totally.
someone else's bills and finally having your own mortgage, your own place to call home.
Totally, because like that was one of the biggest things too. Like you said, giving someone else's money because here we are, the girlfriend and I living in this apartment, and it was like we're paying $1,000 a month for rent where where we were, and that's going into some dude's pocket, and it's like we're wasting $1,000 a month when that could be going towards a mortgage. So that's one of like the biggest things that like got me. I was like, we need to find a house because I'm getting sick of this. Not only that, but obviously the family was growing. We knew about that, and so it was just how. What'd you say? I'm sorry. How imperative it is? Is that how you
Yeah,
worded it?
like it's crucial, right? I mean, I feel like it's
Oh,
crucial if you want to find a comfortable place in life that you can unwind in. I think
totally.
you can be in an apartment that's a nice apartment complex and they may have nice amenities,
Yeah.
but there's something about owning a home and just taking your pants off and being like, this is my fucking house, bro. Like, I'm gonna grab a beer, I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch the game, chill, take my pants off,
Nah,
just let it
totally.
hang out.
Totally. And like that was one of the biggest things with me too, at the apartment was I really didn't have my own space. Not in a
Mm,
negative way, but in a positive way. I'm not saying have my own space to where I can get away from everybody, you know, or get away from my wife. I'm not saying that, but have my own space like downstairs here where I'm recording on my iMac. I got my drums set up, my guitar amp, my bass amp. I got my own music room, recording studio type thing right here. and then over to my right is the projector screen and my all that, and like the home theater room. And it is pretty awesome, that feeling, like you said, a place to call home. And the backyard's fenced in for the dog to run around in, and he's got his freedom back there just to run around the yard. And dude, it is so imperative. Let me tell you, it is stressful, like everybody says, when you're looking for a house. For the most part, it is pretty stressful. I can't tell you
The
how
process
many.
sucks.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I can't tell you how many houses my wife and I looked at over the past, like we've been in the market for like probably like two years, I would say. And it wasn't constant, like every weekend going to look at a house. You know what I mean? Like there was times where like we would take a couple months off and just try to regather because there wasn't anything around that we liked. And like it got to the point to where we were like, all right, we need to broaden our horizon, or wow, we need to broaden our thoughts and just like look outside the box and think maybe we should go to this town, even though this town was never on our radar, before, because it was a little further away. And then we started looking at houses further away from where we wanted to live. And then that was like, oh, we like this house, but it's a 45-minute drive back to where her mom is, her sister is, her niece is, where the family is. And it's like, that's a little far. And so, it definitely does get stressful. The whole process of it gets stressful. But let me tell you, it's worth it.
All great things are tough to
Yeah.
achieve. Like everything that's worth anything in life is going to come with a struggle. Like anything that's worth a lot, it rarely ever comes easy. Like rarely ever.
True.
So yeah, I think you nailed it. Like I think when you own a home, it's also a great place to raise a family because there's a sense of security your children get. Especially when they're really young and they have a room or a bed to call their own. They have their own space per
Yep.
se. And I think that's important because having your own space allows you to be creative. It allows you to be yourself. It allows you to rest and reset your mind. So, you're ready for another week.
Mm-hmm.
You're ready for another time. You don't feel like you're always constantly swimming against the current of life when you have a space to call your own. And that's pretty much why I love having a home. Now, when I was younger, I really thought like, what, I could live like in an apartment, like on a 13 story somewhere in a city. And it's true. I probably could survive that way because I'm built a little bit more fast paced than my wife and I'm a little bit more go, go, go. So I'm ready to, get up and move and be mobile whenever I can. But I will say that I think the American dream, even though it's not as popular and as talked about as much today, I think the American dream is secretly low key what a lot of dudes want, but they feel discouraged by society today and the relationship statuses of what we see on TV and what we see in the news and what we hear from coworkers, and we're influenced by all these pretty shitty negative things that
Oh,
we also forget how great and how awesome it is to try to overcome those obstacles and those percentages of divorce and going through girlfriend and boyfriend and all this shit with Tinder and fucking all this shit, bro. Like it's wild, man.
the distractions that are out there, and
Yeah,
and
overcome
like
that shit. It's possible.
it is absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, I feel like social media ruined people. But that's hey, we'll save that one for another episode. We'll save that one for
Yeah,
another episode.
I think today it's easier to become financially stable than to find a person to call my mate,
Yeah.
my one. I think it's easier to create money and wealth for yourself in that way
Mm-hmm.
than to create a family wealth in a social wealth. I will say it's much easier to create money than it is a social climate and family that you can rely on.
Sure.
I struggle with that still. I still have very few friends because of that same reason. Just I'm in an environment where you don't know who's who and what their intentions are.
So
So it becomes very difficult to navigate.
you're talking about keeping your friend circle small.
Yeah.
Ah, dude, totally, totally. And I actually thought about this a few days ago, or actually a few weeks ago when we first started talking about doing the podcast thing. And this was actually something I wanted to bring up. And and you basically just did for me, but I'm gonna tell
You're
you
welcome.
but thank you. I'm gonna tell you my side of it is it is totally the same thing at my job. A lot of those a lot of my coworkers are very negative, very judgmental about things, and quick to say something that's so negative. And like that's why for me, dude, I keep same thing as you. Got to keep that group of friends small. You got to keep those people that are close to you at work. You got to select few that are so small. And dude, it's just I totally agree with you 100%.
Absolutely. I think there's like levels of that circle where you have on the broad circle, you have on the outside the acquaintances, people that you're friendly with or that
Mhm.
you'll talk with and say, hey, good to see you, small talk, blah, blah, blah. Then you have your like medium circle where it's like, well, I work with these people. I see these people every day. I have to keep it cordial. Maybe on occasion we hang out in a business sense. And then
Yep.
you have the very, very small circle where these people you allow inside your home
Yep.
and you consider them friends and family.
Yep.
And those are just a few close people in my life. And I feel like that's how I operate. And that's
Mm,
how I think it'll work. And my advice to everyone else out there is don't be afraid to rearrange that fucking circle whenever
totally.
you feel like it, because you're going to need to.
Totally. And that goes with the same thing with social media too, which I believe we're going to bring that up on the episode 2 on the next episode is a social media thing. But dude, I've people on social media, man. Like I said, we're going to talk about it, so I won't even get started on that. But anyways, so yeah,
That
I
was good.
yeah, like that's what people got. That's what people get to look forward to for us, anyways, from us is a lot of realness, the realness about it, and the realness about life, and everybody goes through it, everybody's living it, everybody has their own path, their own road that they're going down through life, and we're here to hopefully you guys can relate to things that we say, and we would love to hear from you guys also. If you guys want to chime in, you can hit us up on social media, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, or even leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and subscribe and say, listen, I love the guys pod, I love you guys. So we appreciate that, because we're doing this not only for us just to hang out and talk, which is always fun, but more importantly for you guys. And hopefully, we can give a little of our insight from real dudes. But
Absolutely. And what's the Twitter handle?
the Twitter handle is at TT, that's T as in Tommy or Timmy. It's at TTCL pod, that thing called Life Pod, TTCL pod. So that's where you can find us on Twitter. And
Awesome. And my Instagram is m.r.k.thebarber. That's on Instagram. And I'm also on Facebook under Michael R. K.
yeah, same
I
thing.
believe I have a Twitter too, but I don't care what that is. I really don't know. It could be just Michael Kelly for all I know.
That's her. And mine Instagram and my personal Instagram and personal Twitter is D_WIRHOWSKI. D_ my last name, Borowski. So, but I mean, yeah, so that's what people get to look forward to. Weekly. We're gonna do this weekly. We're gonna put out new content, like Mike said earlier. We're gonna be having guests on here to talk about a whole bunch of different things. So, that's who we are, and we hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. And don't forget to go over to episode 2 next and have yourself a listen.
Binge on.
We're gonna end it on that. Ben John.
Binge on.